what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. So LSU beat South Alabama Saturday 42-10, and it was a game in which it could not have started better. Caden Durham basically almost has back-to-back 80-yard touchdowns. The defense is getting off of the field. And many will say, oh, but T-Bob, this is a lesser opponent. Yes, but what do we always want to look for over the course of a season? We want to look at growth points. If you read our LouisianaSports.net preview, I think I ended my little paragraph blurb with "Don't get Guggenheimed." And so if you look at what LSU looked like against Nichols, as opposed to what they look like against South Alabama, where South Alabama is a much better team. You know, credit to Nichols. I love Nichols, but like South Alabama that's a bigger school. Like that's a better team. And you looked, LSU did, like a much better team as well. It's kind of continued validation of the things that Brian Kelly is talking about with these coordinators, learning their personnel. How do we employ it? Who's the guys that we can rely on? And really, Jake, that's what this bye week's going to be about. And that's what Kelly talked about after the game is like, you've seen us up to this point rolling a lot of guys in. Once you get to SEC play, that's going to shrink.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to see guys playing. So I feel like these first few weeks, we now know the players that you can rely upon, and a lot of them did some really impressive things Saturday night in Death Valley.
Yeah, the schedule is a little different in the fact that you've already played an SEC game, and then you get out of conference play, and then you come back into it. But even going back to what T just said, it's going to look different than the South Carolina game. And you went and won that game, but it's going to look different as far as how many people play, who plays in that game, because even at that point, you were still trying to figure yourself out. Typically, you don't have an SEC game maybe that early in the schedule, and if you do, you don't bounce in and out of league play, but now you're going to be firmly in it. And so, yeah, it will certainly shrink, and I think more so on the defensive side, obviously, like it's going to shrink. I think that they are finally figuring out exactly who they can trust as far as any kind of rotation on the defensive line. Certainly the linebacker room is set now with Harold Perkins being out. I think you saw the linebacker room be as solidified as it's going to be and as it's been, because you're not trying to figure out exactly where everybody fits. And so, yeah, it's going to shrink, but like we've been talking about over the last 2 weeks, I certainly want to give a shout out to the defensive line, because that is a unit that has been talked about in a negative way for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I feel like they are really coming into their own. Is it going to be Georgia 2022 defensive? No, it's never going to be that. And we know that. But they're finding enough, and they're finding the right mixture of bodies where it's not a just glaring deficiency now.
Literal perfect start to the game. I love, and Coach Kelly talked about this. Actually, I guess he just hadn't run that before.
I'm watching on my phone. I'm like, wait, is that the first play of the game?
Yeah, and it was one of those where something else. Look, South Alabama was giving you, like you said, they were expecting cover 3. They'd be 3 deep. South Alabama kind of prioritizing stopping the pass, going to make you run. And really, to me, Jake, that first play is an extension of the run game.
Yeah.
That's a way of like, okay, Caden Durham has unteachable track speed. Let's get him the ball in space against lesser athletes and just let him work. And it works because of the downfield blocking from the wide receivers, from Mason Taylor, which would become a theme of this game, and probably the thing on offense that I am most proud of in this game is CJ. On that play, it was CJ Daniels and Kyle Parker, and then Mason Taylor, especially throughout the game, had 3 or 4 extended hold your blocks downfield, help the guy pop for a big play, because that's one of the football truths. When do run plays hit big? When those guys are bought in on blocking downfield. And so to see that the first play, it results in a massive touchdown. Immediately the tone is set. Tiger Stadium's popping off. And it would just kind of continue throughout the whole game.
Yeah, and look, Caden Durham is somebody that, we do need to remember he was a top 5 running back in the country.
I didn't know that.
Like, this guy is incredibly talented. I mean, he was number 5. I mean, he was almost a top 100 player regardless of position. And anytime you're a running back, because people just like to hate on running backs, right? It's if you get into the top 100, that's incredible. And so this is somebody that is incredibly talented. He has a rare skill set of having track speed, but also being able to break tackles.
Yep.
And when you get him the ball in space, good things happen. And they're still going to have a running back by rotation because I still think there's things that you need Josh Williams back there for.
Williams is running it well, too. I feel bad. He's just not running it exorbitantly well.
That's fine. Like, that's going to be what he does for you, right? He's going to get you the 5-yard runs. Caden Durham is somebody that can go the distance, hit his head on the goalpost every single time that he touches the football. And it was a position group that we were wondering how it would play out. And look, for Caleb Jackson, it hasn't worked out this year. It has not worked out for him to this point, but Durham has stepped up, and now you have a great mixture. Certainly after John Emery goes down after a great opener, you were wondering, man, what are we going to see from that position? Yeah. And it is now a situation where you have a guy that defenses know they have to prepare for. They are going to be terrified of him catching it in space. When he's in the game, they are going to shift and move things towards him, right? You're going to have to respect him in coverage now because you know that he can go the distance off a swing pass. And so that changes some of the things defensively that they can do against you.
One thing he also did a good job of this game, and I'll be interested to see if teams, I'll be interested to see how they try to combat this, but he was doing a good job. All the backs were when they were in pass pro, scanning very quickly, seeing whether or not they had anybody coming, and then just becoming that outlet for Nussmeier. Scan, and then immediately just get out of the backfield, turn around, and you could dump it to him and pick up some positive yards. It showed up a few times on film in this game. I thought that the gap scheme stuff, Jake, and really their zone blocking continues to be really good on the offensive line, but I thought even the gap scheme stuff worked better this game because you're actually pushing guys back. And again, this is a growth point from Nichols where I was kind of disappointed in some of the fire off from the offensive line. In this game, on your down blocks, your back blocks, you were getting push, and so you were creating gaps, and then that's how you saw Durham hit that second run that almost got about as close to finishing in the end zone as you could possibly get without doing so.
I felt bad that he didn't get the attaboy.
No, they gave it to us.
Yeah.
Let 13 get a chance to dance, which well executed by Nuss on the dance moves, I thought. What I really love, though, too, offensively, is you have those first two drives that are just, hey, perfectly executed, but like our guys are just bigger and better and faster and stronger. To go from those two lightning strike drives to then get the ball back and have an opportunity to make it 21-0 and really just like, all right, let's call it. To go 11 plays, 79 yards after you have the two lightning strikes showed me, I just really like that, right? A team that was dialed in, executing at a high, consistent level. I think that was the drive where Garrett Nussmeier had that dime to Mason Taylor, and that was followed immediately by the touchdown throw to Aaron Anderson, which were two of the better throws from the end zone view.
Yeah.
Those are two of the better throws. Like, they give you goosebumps. They're so good. Right over the top for Anderson, dropped underneath the safety, like in that middle ground. For Taylor, just perfectly led right over the top. And it's 21-0. And at that point, everybody's doing their job, offense, defense. Great start. Jumped on, game's over.
Aaron Anderson continues to be somebody that is impressive on tape.
Yeah.
Like when you watch him, he's just – and we talked about just the different speed, but, I mean, there's a real dynamic there where he's going to help you win big marquee matchups. When you have a Kyron Lacey on the other side or wherever he's lined up, like there's going to be a lot of attention there. Now Caden Durham's going to get so much attention, in the passing game. Like Aaron Anderson is making teams pay if they're only going to have, single man coverage on him or if they don't shade coverage his way. And that is something that you needed. Like CJ Daniels is still making plays, but like the emergence of Aaron Anderson is potentially a big difference maker whenever you play some of these better teams with better secondaries that are going to be able to maybe shut a Kyron Lacey down, because that's going to be their point of focus all week long. Man, just from last year to this year, he might be the most improved player on the team.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.